In this video, we will explain the differing ideas of republicanism as the founders experiment with Confederation. Americans debate republicanism. The newest task, and the most challenging one, that the founders and the new government faced was creating a government that worked. The relationship between the states and the national government would be very difficult to define. Colonies become states. Each colony had been founded separately, with its own governor, its own council, and its own colonial assembly. This system of distinct self-governing colonies made people think of the colony as the primary political union, so they were loyal to the colony, but not to the group. People were challenged to develop a system of government that balances the interests of each individual state with the national government. People were loyal to the colony in which they lived because that was what they knew. Unity through a republic. Some Americans believed that a democracy put too much power into the hands of the uneducated masses, the people. Most wanted the new government to be a republic, a government in which citizens rule through elected representatives. Republicanism, defined, is the idea that government should be based upon the consent of the people. There were differing ideas of republicanism. One view was that a republic could only survive if the people placed the good of the nation above their own interests. Another view was that if citizens pursued their own economic and political interests, then the nation would automatically benefit. State constitutions. As states created their own constitutions, they wrestled with how to put the republican ideals into practice. There were similarities between each individual state constitution, and there were differences. Many of the constitutions of the states limited powers of the leaders of government because they were afraid in giving the leader too much power, as the king had had. They guaranteed the rights of citizens, including freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and freedom of the press. They emphasized liberty, or freedom, not equality. But they definitely reflected a fear of centralized authority because of the authority of the king that they had just finished dealing with. The differences in the state constitutions is that they differed widely in granting the right to vote. No African Americans could vote. In some states, all white males could vote, but in others, you still had to own land. Women could not vote, but in New Jersey, all property owners could vote, and it did not specify just men. So some women were able to vote until 1807, until that right was revoked and the language was clarified. Political precedents. In planning the new government, the founders looked back into history for a model for the republic. And there were a few models that they looked at. In England, after King Charles I was executed, there had been a republic established. During the Middle Ages, there were Italian cities that had become self-governing city-states, which are shown here on this map. In ancient times, republics and democratic systems existed in Greece and in Rome. But no model really fit because of the need to balance a state and a national government. In our next lesson, we will look at the issues that the Continental Congress debates in forming the new government.